Shraddha, food and nutrition. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Yes, shall we start? It is already 10 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. I think Nida will give an introduction.
Shall I start, ma'am?
Yeah.
A very warm good morning to all the participants. I cordially welcome you all on day 3 of this short-term course on the Art and Science of Scientific Communication organized by our college, Padma Shri Institute of Management and Sciences, Bengaluru. It is my proud privilege to introduce to you all the resource person of today's first session, Professor T. Professor T. Pulaya obtained his PhD degree in botany in 1976 from Andhra University. He was a postdoctoral fellow at Moscow State University, Russia during 1976 to 1978. He traveled widely in Europe and visited universities and botanic gardens in about 17 countries. He joined Sri Krishna Devaraya University as a lecturer in 1979 and became professor in 1993. He has held several positions in the university as Dean, Faculty of Life Sciences, Head Department of Botany, Chairman, Botany Board of Studies in Botany, Head Department of Sericulture, Coordinator and Chairman, Board of Studies in Biotechnology, Principal of Sri Krishna Devaraya University College. He retired from active service in 2011 and was selected by UGC as UGC BSR Faculty Fellow in the Department of Botany in Sri Krishna Devaraya University. He has published 75 books, 330 research papers, and 35 popular articles. His books have been published by reputed international publishers like Elsevier, Springer, CRC Press, Taylor & Francis, and CBS Publishers, etc. He was principal investigator of 20 major research projects totaling more than 3 crore of rupees funded by AP Netherlands Biotech Program, DBT, DST, CSIR, UGC, etc. Under his guidance, 54 students obtained their PhD degrees and 34 students their MPhil degrees. He is the recipient of Best Teacher Award from Government of Andhra Pradesh, Professor P. Maheshwari Gold Medal, Professor P.C. Trivedi Medal for Editorial Excellence, Dr. G. Panigrahi Memorial Award of Indian Botanical Society, and Professor Y.D. Tyagi Gold Medal of Indian Association for Angiosperm Taxonomy. He was the President of Indian Association for Angiosperm Taxonomy and President of the Indian Botanical Society. Sir, we are truly honored to have you as a resource person for this webinar, and I request you to kindly present your talk. He will be giving us insights about identification of journals and publishers. Over to Pulaya, sir.
Yeah. Fine. First slide, please. First slide. Yes, yeah. So when I started, why people do research? Why? Next slide, please. Well, the possible why, because the topic is journals identified, but before you identify the journals, why do you research? The possible motives for doing research are desire to get a research degree, that is like PhD, MSc, MPhil, etc. Desire to face challenge in solving unsolved problems, like I want a medicine, say for example, COVID-19. So there is no medicine so far. So face a challenge in solving this unsolved problem. That is what research is. And desire to get a joy of doing some creative work. I want to find out something new. to get a medicine for COVID-19. And desire to some service to society. See, for example, if I find a medicine for COVID-19, that is a service to society. And also, suppose if I find a medicine for COVID-19, then I get a respect from the public or from the society, etc. Next, please. Next slide, please. So, point is, you do research for all this. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, okay. Why do you, then, you do research. This research is converted into two things. Number one, either say a patent, which you will not reveal to anybody, and you will sell that patent to somebody who can buy. For example, I find a medicine for COVID-19. I don't publish it. I keep it as I apply for a patent and get a patent. Then I would like to sell this particular medicine of COVID-19 to some company. So that is what is called as patent. So patent, say our point here is to general public. For example, a publication. So you do research and then convert it into two forms, either patents or publication. Well, here, remember you do publication or PhD or DSc thesis or MPhil dissertations. They have 4 or 5 things. Number one, introduction, review of literature, materials and methods, results and observations, discussion, references. Remember, these are the main contents in any research degree, dissertation or publication. Remember, always all the journals, please remember, all the journals look into these particular aspects. These are the 6 aspects that they look into. Next slide, please. Next slide, Anuradha. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Well, for example, what are the methods and approaches for research before you go to? Before you select a topic, you should know that about the lab facilities, instruments available in the expertise lab. Suppose, when I joined my SK University, there was not even a microscope. So I have to search. So what I did was I went out to the forest to find out some plants in staff facilities. So if you want to do genetic engineering, for example, you should have all the instruments. So find out whether that lab, where you want to work, do have those instrumental facilities. Then you have to also select a problem. Remember, I'll come back to the publications, journals also, because these are linked to that particular publication. That's why. So definition of a problem and research. Suppose if you want to have for example, I'll tell you one example. Chiconin. Chiconin is a herbal lipstick. Please remember, chiconin is a natural herbal lipstick. Well, it was found from Lithospermum erythrorhizon, and when people came to know that Lithospermum erythrorhizon is giving herbal lipstick, people lifted all the plants, from Korea, Japan, China, etc. With the result, within 3 years, plant has gone. So Mitsui Petrochemical Corporation, they researched, they cultured the cells of Lithospermum erythrorhizon and got from 50,000 liter bioreactor a Lithospermum, that is, chiconin herbal lipstick. So point is, remember, this is formulation of a research problem. So here you want to get a Lithospermum herbal lipstick from the plant of Lithospermum erythrorhizon through a method. That is a research problem. Through research tissue culture, through in vitro culture, in a 50,000 liter capacity, not in the lab case. So point is, so this is a problem, and that has to be later on converted into publications in journals. Then literature survey. Remember, when you want a problem, whether somebody has done this work, what medium he has selected, what hormones he has selected, he or she has selected, what hormones, what time they have done, what are the conditions, culture conditions, etc. So this literature survey you have to do. That is reference collection or bibliography. Next slide, please. So literature collection. Well, when I was a PhD scholar, way back in 74, remember I joined in 74, there was no internet. There was not even a Xerox machine also at that time. So we have to go and get, literature collection in books, what is called as biological abstracts. Every 15 days, they used to publish a big book on biological abstracts, that all the abstracts of the publications in science, biological science, are published in a book every 15 days. So I searched from 74 to back 1927. Remember, every month, 2 large books, and I have to search. So literature collection was a big problem at that time, but now advantage is, I'll come back to the point here. So it is essential to know when you identify a problem, whether the work has already been done or not, whether they have what parameters they have used, etc. You have to collect information. Next one, please. Next, please. Yeah. With a reference to research paper, remember, when you are collecting literature, remember, you have to first authors, then title and name of the journal, volume number, pages, year of publication should be noted. Please remember, in publication journals also, most of the journals, they say if you don't follow the format, they'll just simply reject the paper, even without even reviewing. The editor itself will reject the paper. So point is, so this format has to be followed. That is, authors, year, title, journal, volume, page number, etc. Well, there are different formats. I will come back to this. Even books also. And if there's a book, name of the publisher. For example, you have Genes 7. Who published that book? Or microbiology, whether it is Peljar or somebody else has published it. And place of publication. Please remember, when it is a book, place of publication. Next one, please. So remember, after collecting literature, references should be listed. Most of the journals follow the format listing references alphabetically, but including second authors. Suppose first author is Pullaya, first author is Anuradha, then second author also should be followed. Anuradha, for example, Anuradha, then Pullaya, Anuradha, and Balasubramania. Like that, you have to follow second also. And each author, references are listed in chronological order, that is year-wise. For example, 1995 Anuradha, then 96 Anuradha, 97 Anuradha, or then. After single author, then double author. Different journals and different publishing houses list differences in different formats. Next slide, please. Next slide, yeah. Well, I have given here 2 formats, Springer format and please, back slide, please. Back slide, please. Yeah. Well, Springer format and Elsevier format. Please remember here, I have given, Anuradha's paper. Well, here, they are given in different formats. Springer format is different. So when you are collecting literature and you want to send to a journal, please remember journal, you should always remember the format. This is a format. Each journal has its own format. Some journals, don't give, references, year, name-wise, they give number-wise. So instead of alphabetical order, you have to give number-wise references. So that is what you have to. So different journals follow different format. You have to always note down this particular point before you collect literature. Next one, please. Next slide, yeah. Well, this is a book which we have written earlier, published by CRC Press. Well, it's a book. This is CRC Press format. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is Red Sanders, which we published. Balasubramania, Anuradha, your own teachers at Padma Shri. Next slide, we also published another book, Sandal. Yeah. Well, coming back. See, I told you earlier, I used to go to libraries, in Bangalore, Indian Institute of Science, or Delhi, IARI, to collect literature. For my taxonomy, I used to go to Botanical Survey of India. Journals, go through the library, old books, literature, etc. And then, biological abstracts, etc. But now, one of the advantages of the researchers is internet has become an important source of knowledge and is an effective medium for research also. It provides many new opportunities. It is a button, click of a button. That is one of the main advantages. I am collecting fast. For example, about in 1995-96, when I was publishing my book on Flora of Andhra Pradesh, who are the authors of a particular species? I have to list out all those plants which I don't have the author names. I used to go to Coimbatore Botanical Survey of India, so go through all books there, collect that particular information. But now it's easy that I collect from click of a button from my computer, from the internet. So point is, internet has become an important source of knowledge and it is an effective medium for research publication. So remember here, I told you earlier, one is patents, another is publication. Right. Next one, please. Next slide. Yeah. Well, here, while collecting literature, you will come to know that journals, for example, you are working on a micropropagation. Then, when you are collecting literature, I told you just authors, year, title of publication, journal, etc. Then you will know, for example, if you are working on a micropropagation, what are the journals that are publishing these research papers and reviewed articles? Please list out all those journals, because later on, you will know that these journals are publishing your type of research work, so you can send to their journals. Please remember. Please remember. So all this is introduction, which I was telling you. So when you are collecting literature, for example, you are collecting micropropagation. So you will collect, you will know that on the topic that you are working, for example, Nota Padatis Padatara, journals that publish these research papers are, say, for example, plant cell reports, plant tissue and organ culture, in vitro cell development, biology, plant, etc. So remember, sometimes books also publish review chapters. For example, annual reviews. Many books, annual review of microbiology, annual review of plant pathology, etc. They publish. So books also publish, but you have to. That is for literature collection, but not your publication. Right. Next one, please. So yeah. Just as I was telling you, for example, when you are working in a tissue culture or micropropagation of medicinal plants, while collecting literature, you come to know that the following journals are publishing research papers on the subject. For example, plant cell tissue on organ culture, Springer publishes. Plant cell reports, Springer publishes. In vitro cell development of biology, plant, remember here, I forgot to add. Springer publishes. Journal of Plant Biochemistry and Biotechnology, Springer publishes this particular journal. Remember, here I have added one IF. IF stands for impact factor. I'll come back to this point later. And please remember here, now the impact factor plant cell tissue and organ culture is 2.71, whereas plant cell reports 4.57, whereas in vitro cell development biology 2.252, because this counts for your promotions, interviews, jobs. Remember, this is very important factor nowadays. Earlier, this was not there, but in the last 10 to 15 years, even funding agencies also are saying that, you should have accumulated, for example, even for my US BSR, UGC BSR fellowship, they said you should have at least 50 impact factor points. So remember this point. So these are journals. So this, you will know that these journals are publishing research papers on your topic. Well, some other, for example, if you are, next one, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. Now come back. Back, please. Back, please. Yeah. Remember, what are the top science publishers in the world? Right. Number one is Springer. Please remember, Springer publishes 2,900 journals and they publish 3 lakh books. Please remember. Always think of publishing in top journals. Let me come back to this point later on. Then CRC Press, Routledge, Taylor and Francis. This is one conglomerate. It may be CRC Press or Routledge, same conglomerate. Then Elsevier, then Cambridge University Press, Wiley Blackwell. There are other earlier publishers, but these are now in the present. These publishers publish both books and journals. Please remember, they publish both books and journals. So when you are going to publish a research paper in a journal, you will get for example, when your email ID is available, journals, Tom, Dick and Harry sends a mail to you, please publish in our journal. It will be published in 5 days. Pay 5,000 rupees, we'll publish in 3 days or 5 days or weekdays. Don't go for such predatory journals. They are called as predatory journals because they say there is open access and they say you pay 5,000 rupees and it is published in 5 days. This is simply not accepted by many of the committees or experts or etc. So top publishers, you always should go for top publishers, especially peer-reviewed journals. Please remember, there are in India peer-reviewed. Why India in the world? Peer-reviewed journals have to be gone. See, that is your research paper has to be peer-reviewed. I'll come back to what is peer review. For example, When you send a submit a research paper, for example, so plant cell reports, the editor first checks whether it is in a format or not. Then he sends to 2 to 4 reviewers, experts, in that particular way. For example, I used to get several such research papers, for intended for publication. So then these experts, review those. They go through the manuscript. They find out whether it is in format or not. Then what are the things, etc. has to be there. Whether it contains. Reviewers are given 15 to 20 questions. Whether title is correct, whether abstract is given, whether keywords are given. Remember, keywords are given. Whether aims and objectives are given. Whether material methods are given. Whether results are given. Whether it is discussed. And then whether so all these questions are asked. Those have to be checked, cross-checked. For example, many of in my books, journals, when I receive manuscripts, the references quoted in the text are missing in references, and references given in the reference section are missing in text. Please remember, always cross-check this particular two things. References published in quoted in text should be in references, and vice versa. So remember, they send to reviewers, and reviewers give their comments. They say sometimes reject is bad. Sometimes they say no, this is good, but it needs a lot of publication. Review or modifications, and sometimes the reviewers themselves suggest the changes that are. Sometimes English, for example, most of the Indian authors, English is one of the major problems in Indian publication. Even I am publishing several journals are publishing. I used to get the manuscripts, and most of these Indian authors have poor English. Please remember, when you are, say for example, I am poor in English, it doesn't matter, but I get checked twice, thrice, with my even peers or friends or who are good in English. So please get cross-checked. Your eye may be misleading. So I used to, for example, when Anuradha gives me a manuscript, I check it. When I write a manuscript, I used to give to Anuradha to check it, so that cross-checking. So this is one thing. So peer review and indexed also. Please remember, Scopus indexed journals. And in India, UGC, University Grants Commission, has given a list of journals. So at least those who are in India, if you can't go for such big giants like Springer or Elsevier, at least you should publish in UGC recognized journals. Please remember, Scopus indexed journals. Please remember 2 things in India. One is UGC recognized, Scopus index. Then remember, impact factor journals. Three stages. Suppose if you want to go whole hog, top journals like Springer, go for Springer or Elsevier, top-notch journals. So point is, always think big. You must hit a bullseye, not the small fish. So always keep this in mind. So always try to publish in top-notch journals. If you publish in a top-notch journals, you will get recognition. Oh, Journal of Biochemistry and Biotechnology, Journal of Biochemistry, or Springer Journal, Elsevier Journal. People will, when you go for interview, for example, when I came for interview for my lectureship way back in '79, I put my American Journal of Botany, published by American Botanical Society. So point is, I got job with that. So when I publish, for example, I published 2 papers in Springer journals, which is plant systematic evolution way back in '81, '83. So point is, when I show those papers, I got a job. So you should always think, your promotion, job, or industry is you can also show that you have experience through these your publications, to the industry, that you have experience in handling instruments, etc. So methodology is also important in your research paper. Next slide, please. This is the background of research publication. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Well, here, remember, just now I was telling you, remember always, high impact factor journals. High impact factor journals. Remember here, well, you can't imagine Current Science, which is published from India, one of the top journals in India, has only 1.102 impact factor. Please remember, it is very good journal. I still say that is very good journal, publishes good paper. But remember, Nature has 49.962 impact factor. So suppose if you can publish just 1 paper in Nature, you will get a star researcher. Please remember, whereas Nature Review Genetics is 73.5, and Cancer Journal for clinicians is 435 impact factor. Please remember. So always think such big, but don't think that they'll publish Tom, Dick, Harry papers. They'll only publish which are top-notch journals, top-notch research papers. So always keep this in top mind. Suppose if you see, sir, I am a young researcher that I do not know, have not much research facilities in my institution, so I will go. So then you go at least Scopus index journals. Scopus index journals. Scopus index must be there, so that you get recognition, or UGC recognized journals. But I suggest always go big. For example, when I was a research scholar or a postdoctoral fellow, I used to send first to top-notch journal. So what happens is the top-notch journal, it sends to reviewers. They give several suggestions. Then you will know what is the defect in your research paper. What are the problems? What is that it is missing, or suggestions. So that will give you an idea for your research, future research. So always think big. For example, if you send a local paper, they'll just publish it and you will not know whether it has any impact. If you send to some top-notch journal, they will go to experts, and experts will review, and they give suggestions for research also. So suggestions for what are the defects, drawbacks, and suggestions for improving this particular research paper. So always think big. So I got, for example, when I sent to American Journal of Botany, published by American Botanical Society, they sent to 2 reviewers. One reviewer said reject. Second reviewer said revise and resubmit. So there is one. So editor decided that to send it back to me, asked me to revise. We'll send to third reviewer, and his decision will be final. Third reviewer also gave comments. So point is, for my research paper, I got comments from 3 reviewers. Similarly, recently, one Elsevier journal, Food Science Journal, I was asked to review, and I found there are 4 reviewers for this particular journal, and each one give you. So when you send a paper for publication journals, they send to reviewers, and after reviewers comments, author will be asked to revise, and author has to submit once again, revise, and it will be sent back to once again to the reviewers. So whether reviewers then check whether their suggestions are taken or not. So point is, all this will give you ideas for your future research, ideas for your deficiencies, ideas for your drawbacks, ideas for widening the scope of your research, right? So please remember, always think of high impact factor journals in your area of research. Next slide, please. So identification. So point is, you identify the journals on impact factor. Remember, some journals are, remember there are 2 types of journals. One published by society, by publishing agencies like Springer, publishers like Springer, Elsevier, Wiley Blackwell, TRC. Some journals are also published by societies or academies, but most of these societies also handed over these particular journals to the Springer. For example, National Academy of Sciences, India, remember at the bottom, India, they handed over to Springer. Whereas some journals published, for example, PNAS, that is Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences, USA. Remember, they have 11.205 impact factor. One of my students, has published, in this PNAS with 11 impact factor. So point is, similarly, Proceedings of Indian Academy of Sciences, Biological Sciences, they have, 3 different mathematical, physical, and biological sciences. It is impact factor 1.426. Even 1 is also good. So sometimes, you Indian conditions, reviewers understand. So you can publish either in journals published by publishers or societies. Sometimes, societies ask you to become a member. For example, Indian Botanical Society, they say that you become a member of the society, then only they will publish. So it doesn't matter. You will get the honor also. So point is, you publish, wherever it is, whether it is, published by publishers or academies or societies, you go for top notch. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Please remember, always select a journal with DOI number. Please remember, digital object number. If the journal has no DOI number, please don't go for it. Please remember this, identification journals. Each journal, under your research paper, there'll be one DY number, DY 10.162J, PC, plan cell report, PC, R, they'll say digital object number. So if the journal is not having this DY number, then it is worthless. Not only impact factor, this also sometimes journals may not have much impact factor, but at least if you have DY number, it will give some weightage to your work because it will be exposed. Please always also register with RSID. Please remember, all journals are asking for this RSID. What is this RSID? RSID is a non-proprietary alphanumeric code to uniquely identify authors and contributors of scholarly communication, as well as RSID's website and services to look up authors and their bibliographic output. Please remember, those who are doing an MSc or PhD, or those young researchers who are listening to my talk, please remember, you should have RSID number. To my surprise, even some of the senior authors also have no RSID number, but now publishing houses are insisting that you should have RSID number. My RSID number is, remember, 000, that is 4030269314476. If you put this number https RSID.org, you will, that gives complete my RSID background. So with that number, you can go to my research publication. So please remember, those who are young researchers, please now itself register with RSID. It will give an identity to you that you are a researcher. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Well, as I was saying, you remember DY number, RSID number, then Scopus. Scopus, remember citation, science citation. Remember how many, when you publish a paper, that paper is later on quoted in other research papers. That is what is called as citation, Scopus. Scopus delivers a broadest coverage of any interdisciplinary abstract and citation database. Citations. Remember, if your research paper is cited in others research papers, that is called as citation, and that gives exposure. And this Scopus covers 240 disciplines. Researchers, instructors, librarians, and students who rely on Scopus are confident that odds of missing key publications are greatly reduced. So when you have this Scopus index, that is citations, later on you can also Google Scholar. There is Google Scholar. Please remember, now you register also with Google Scholar so that you will get identities. So how many of your papers are being cited? Researchers trust information and data they discover with Scopus because content of Scopus comes from nearly 7,000 publishers that must be reviewed and selected, and independent content selection advisory board to be and continue to be indexed in Scopus. So they index in Scopus. Please remember, Scopus indexed journals, please publish only in Scopus indexed journals, but don't go for if it is not Scopus indexed. Please remember, identification of journals or identification of books. Next one, please. Yeah, top journals in biotechnology, for example, Nature Methods. Remember, Nature is publishing several journals. Earlier, there was only one journal, but now Nature has broadened. They are publishing Nature Biotechnology, Nature Genetics, Nature Methods, Nature Biotechnology, Nature Biomedical Engineering, etc. For example, Nature Biotechnology has impact factor of 54.91. Imagine. Plant Biotechnology Journal has, see, these are Nature Methods, Nature Biotechnology, Nature Biomedical Engineering, PLOS Medicine. Remember, I'll come back to this point later on also. Remember this journal, PLOS Medicine, 11.07. But this is remember, open access journals. I'll come back to this point later. Open access journals and closed access journals. But remember, these are the top journals in biotechnology. Next one, please. Journals are of two types. Yes, just now I was telling you about journals. Two types. Open access journals. Just now I told you PLOS one. That is PLOS one. For example, Current Science is an open access journal. Whereas closed access, many of the journals of Springer, for example, plant cell reports, plant cell tissue and organ culture, in vitro cell development biology, is a closed. You don't get, of course, in PubMed, you get the abstracts. your title, authors, journal, volume, page number, but you will not get the access to the complete manuscript or complete paper. So it is called as a closed access. But here remember, open access journals, they ask you to pay for the cost. For example, PLOS One, they charge nearly $2,500 for publication of a research paper. For example, in my American Journal of Botany, which I was telling you way back in '79, remember when my salary was 1,000 rupees, journal asked me to pay 5,000 rupees for a 10-page article. But remember, I said, I cannot pay. My salary is only 1,000 rupees. I cannot pay. Then they said, we'll give you concession. I said, I cannot pay. Then they publish it. So point is, open access journals and closed access journals. Well, don't worry. Only thing is impact. You always think about it. But when you want to publish in an open access journal, you have to pay. Please remember, you have to pay. In foreign journals, always charge in dollars, and dollars, for example, is $2,500. Imagine $2,500 is hoping money, which you can't. So if you have grants from your institution or a publication grant from an institution or from an agency or funding agency, etc., then only go for this open access. Otherwise, or sometimes journals give you a concession to that. So always think of this publishing in open access journals, so that your paper gets exposed. But you have to pay for it. If you can't pay, then you go for closed access. But always in both these cases, go for impact factor. In India, of late, in the last 10 years, several people are minting money by saying you pay 7,000 rupees, we'll publish. Several of my scholars, because remember, identification journals also, PhD, UGC insists that you should publish at least minimum 2 research papers in a recognized journals. Please remember, recognized journals. So for open access journals, you have to pay. For example, you should pay some grant to the same institution. Next slide, please. So always think, back please. Earlier slide, please. Yeah, right. Okay. So back please. Back slide, please. Back slide, please. Let me go. Yeah. Okay. This is hold on. Well, here one of the world's largest journals, Elsevier, remember, publishes nearly 2,000. Remember, some journals, I found that when I was publishing a research paper in one of the journals, they say we'll give you open access provided you pay, but otherwise it will go closed. So journals, for some with the same journal, some papers may be open access. Some papers may be, if the author pays for the open access, then they will put up, because each paper is put up for open access. Journal may be closed access, but paper in that one, if you pay for it. So for example, Elsevier is publishing 500 journals which are fully open access. But you have to pay for it, and that you have to be careful. If, for example, if the journal is open access, if it is high impact factor, and if you need not pay, go that one. Don't leave the chance. Suppose if it is open access, you need not pay. If it is high impact factor, then go for it. Please remember this. Next slide, please. Yeah. Well, I was telling you about biotechnology journals. Remember here, let me tell you some research journals in nutrition, because food and nutrition is in your institution. Nutrition research, Elsevier, impact factor 3.315. Journal of Food Science and Nutrition, Wiley. Current research in food science and Elsevier publishing. Charges, remember here, $2,500 for open access. Imagine, $2,500 in India is a big money. European Journal of Nutrition, published by Springer, impact factor 5.614. International of Food Science and Nutrition, Springer, impact factor. Remember here, I told you, Springer is publishing nearly 2,900 journals. Remember, they are now broadened their scope also. Food Science and Biotechnology, Springer, 2.23391. Plant Foods and Human Nutrition, Springer, impact factor 3.291. Remember, these are some of the journals. So what happens is, go to internet, find out. Suppose I want to work on, say, on some aspects like genetic engineering. Go for Google search, go for journals in genetic engineering. It will give. Then go back, find out the journal is open access or closed access. Go for impact factor. In fact, internet also now gives information on impact factor also. So go for internet journals on particular science, or journals are tissue culture, or genuine in vitro production of secondary metabolites, or protein metabolism, or plant physiology, or plant biochemistry. Then search journals. then search for impact factor, search for the publishers. Then remember always, when you are publishing journals, yeah, all the journals, most of journals, I don't say all, most of the journals are now online submission. Please remember, you should have technology. When I was a researcher, we used to type, send to American Journal of Botany by post. But nowadays, I used to send later on, after the internet has come, I used to send as email attachment. But now email attachment is also gone. They say that you have to submit online. Even reviewing also, I'm doing online reviewing. Even book platforms also, they give platform, you can write and correct it and etc. and your work, and they give suggestions. So online submission. So please remember this online submission. You should learn technology also. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, publications. Well, let me come back to here. When you do research is done for 2-3 things. One is patents, another is publication. Publication is done of 2 types. Review papers, research papers first. Review papers. Suppose you review, for example, micropropagation of particular Withania somnifera. What are the research papers? And then you review it and publish it as a review paper or review chapter, book chapter or review paper. Whereas research paper is what medium you have used, what hormones you have used, what are the parameters that you have utilized, like temperature, etc., etc. That is a research paper. Research papers are published in 2-3 formats. One is full-length research papers, short communications. For example, even Current Science publishes full-length research papers and also short communication. Some journals publish even letters to the editor also, where you can discuss comparatively. Like, for example, Current Science and Nature publishes this letters to editor. That is, there is a problem. There is a problem of conservation. There is a problem of this particular thing. So you can mention it so that you can bring to the notice of the people. So here, full-length research papers, short communications. Suppose if you want to publish it, short communications are published quickly, whereas full-length papers will take a longer time. So sometimes, authors publish, short communications. Even remember, third thing I forgot to mention here, case studies. Please remember, when you are there is a problem of a disease, case studies. For example, children are not getting COVID-19. Why? You study case studies. So publish in NIMHANS or in India Institute of Child Health in Bangalore. You study it and you publish a case study. Most of the medical subjects, they publish what is called as case. Even plants also, a case study of a particular plant. For example, Nothopodatus pneumonia. Case study its conservation in Mahabaleshwar. So case studies also. So 3 things: full-length research paper, short communications, case studies can be published, and letters to editor. They are, of course, letters to editor are not research papers. They are only topics to be discussed. Next one, please. Next one, please. Well, reviewing process. I told you just now about reviewers. They said to 3 or 4 reviewers, and this I have already given to you just now. Now, next one, please. Yeah. You should prepare the manuscript according to the format of the journal. Please remember, when you are preparing the manuscript, keep the journal paper or journal by your side. What happens is, journal gives format, you don't follow it. Remember, all journals ask for statistical analysis. Please remember, journals insist on this, like DMR, ANOVAS, SD. So you must analyze statistically all the journals. Suppose if it is a taxonomy journal, statistical analysis may not be necessary. But when you are asking, for example, tissue culture, micropropagation, in vitro production of secondary metabolites, most of the journals, why even the statistical data is applied to even social sciences also. So that statistical analysis is required. So please remember, whatever research that you are doing, statistical analysis is a must. And when you are preparing a manuscript, you also, when you are preparing a manuscript, you remember which journal you would like to send. Please think that particular, whether that journal publishes this manuscript or not. Identify the journal on which your topic is being published. Then you take, for example, you are working on micropropagation of Nothopodatus. You want to publish to plant cell reports. So take publications in plant cell reports on micropropagation of, may not be always Nothopodatus, other species like Withania, Catharanthus rogeus, or or other species. So point is leptidina reticulata. So take these papers, keep them by your side, what they have written. So keep always, knowledge, or note down those points also which are published already. Well, plagiarism, please remember, this is a big problem now. People used to copy it and then, cut, copy, paste. But now journals are insisting that plagiarism must be down below 10 or 5%. My publishers are insisting that, even about 10% also is not accepted, even though there is chemical names and also which cannot be changed. They say that. So plagiarism is a major problem in India. Software has come, so please always check for plagiarism before you send the journal. Journals are insisting. So all journals, remember, in spite of whatever that you are saying, they are telling if it is plagiarism is there more than 10 to 20%, they'll simply reject it. If it is below 20, then they'll say revise this, bringing this plagiarism. So before you send a journal, please check. Plagiarism software is available in many institutions. Even PhD thesis or MPhil dissertations or MSc dissertations, they have universities are asking to submit soft copies, and they are checking for plagiarism. So please remember, plagiarism is one of the major problem, and you should check for plagiarism. Next one, please. Yeah. Well, don't fall prey to predator journals, especially, remember, from India. They'll say they'll publish in 5 days. You pay 5,000 rupees, will 5 days. Most of these journals are not recognized. Please remember, don't go for that such predatory journals. Like now, even publishers also, like for example, Rambert Academic Publishing. You pay money and they will publish it. University Grants Commission has gave a list of recognized journals. You can go to net, search for those journals. At least, if you are not going for high impact journals, at least go for University Grants Commission, UGC recognized journals and DY number. So please remember, they can better go for always, big, for example, Springer, Elsevier, Wiley. If they reject, you go for a little lower impact factor journal. If they also reject, then you come down to UGC recognized journals or Scopus index journals. So point is, think always, because if you send a just now I told you, stop journals, you will get your idea what is the deficiency in your particular research paper. So remember this particular thing. Next one, please. Next one, please. Yeah. Well, yeah, since now it is almost 10:50, I keep this open for discussion. Thank you. This is my mail ID, pullaya.tamineni@gmail.com. I am publishing more than, they said 75 books, that is 75 titles. But if you can look back into my Almira, we have published, if you take each volume, one book, we have published 116 books so far. This year, 2022, we are publishing 10 books. Next year, we are publishing another 10 books. After retirement, I am publishing all top publishers. Just now she told Elsevier, Springer, Wiley Blackwell, CRC Press, Taylor and Francis. So all these top publishers we are publishing. So we are publishing edited books also. So you are most welcome to contribute book chapters for our edited books. In fact, we have written 2 books along with Anuradha and Balasubramaniam from my institution, Indu and other your associates. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Anuradha, for giving me an opportunity to share my experiences with you. And you are almost welcome anytime, for my, this is my mobile number also. Don't ring, send messages so that, I can answer your queries. Yes, any questions, please. Thank you very much for giving me this honor. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation with a very, very short notice. As usual, you made your mark and you could able to really connect the topic so well. And it has been an inspiration to so many of us to write books and papers like you, and very important tips which you have mentioned. And these tips will definitely help our participants. Here I want to tell one thing to all the participants. He is a voracious publisher. He publishes books like he dreams it and he sleeps on it and he eats it and he drinks it. That's how he publishes papers and books. If any one of you are interested to publish books or chapters or anything along with him, you can write to him on the email ID which has been mentioned on the screen, or you can send a WhatsApp to the number what has been given on the screen. And please go ahead and try to utilize the opportunity and write books. Recently, I received a request, chapter request on, those are all his books which are there on his back, and so many books. And earlier also, whenever we were doing a PhD, each PhD is being converted into a book. That's how he publishes, and his nature of thinking is totally, actually many times I feel that how we inherit characters of the parents, when it comes to research, we inherit from our guides and teachers. I inherited many things from him unknowingly, because that was a formative age. And always he used to say that, don't do research with your money. You need to get grants. All of his research scholars used to get some or the other funding, and he used to take some or the other fellowships, and it is being built. When it comes to Padma Shri or my research career, I would have got so many funds for both building up the laboratories, infrastructure, and everything. Only on 2 plants, I can tell you, on red sandalwood, which was my PhD topic, and Nothopoditis foetida, that is a topic which I started when I started my career as a scientist. In these 2 plants, I have taken not less than 1 crore funding from National Medicinal Plants Board, DST, DPT, and many other places. And 4 PhDs have been got it in this particular plant, that is Nothopoditis foetida, and Ophiorhiza mungus, that is Camptothecin, and 1 book in Elsevier publishers. That's how, when you have an expertise, either you try to utilize, hang on that expertise and try to communicate. It is your basic responsibility. That's what Sir always used to say, that if you don't publish, it is not, if you don't reach.
Publish or perish. Remember the motto,
Yes.
Publish or perish. I am sorry to interrupt you. Just one sentence I forgot to tell you. Most of the researchers in India, they do PhD because they want to get a promotion or lecturer job. Once they get a job, they keep the PhD thesis in Almira of their Almira or guides Almira, and they forget the publication. Please remember, convert your research into a publication. Then only you will get recognition. Please publish or perish. Remember. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Actually, yesterday evening, we had a wonderful session on Mendele and other things. Continuously, we are having sessions on this only for next 10 days. And in this, what we decided, just I got an idea there, we will start a research club. It is not an association, it will be a club. And in this club, everybody can become members, and each one of us can help each other. For example, I have written a book, I don't know where to publish. They can post it in the club, and you can guide, or anyone who is interested in this can guide. If somebody wants to write a chapter, if they don't know how to write a chapter, they have the entire information. You can guide them, and this can be mutual. And there are 254 participants, overwhelming participation, I can say, sir. It is a very good participation. We have not advertised, we have not sent to anybody. It is just social media is being utilized, and we have given this particular thing to the people. And there are many teachers across joined this. I can say that there are many people I could able to see, ex-syndicate members of Bangalore University and HODs, BOS chairmans. Many people are there here, and there is no limitation. Sky is the limit. Don't think that Dr. Pullaya or Anuradha, they are biotechnologists, or they are botanists, we have to approach them only for this. It is not required. Actually, recently I received a request from Quality Control, Quality Assurance Association of India. It is a government thing. They requested to write quality control measures used in education. See, you can write a book on that. You can write a book on anything if you are expert in that particular thing, and you have to pen it down. With this sincere request, I once again thank my guide, and he is my guide, my teacher and philosopher, and I'm a strong follower of Professor Pullaya. And wherever you go, you get a recognition that, oh, you are Dr. Pullaya's student. That's how we get recognition outside. And we have so many, and see the enthusiasm and the energy and his energy will be electrifying. And I used to see when in the department, he's the first one to come to the department and open the doors. And he used to, at that time also, wherever you go to his room, I used to see him in only one pose, that is writing something, writing and correcting something and editing something. That kind of a passion he has got. So I definitely, that is why I invited him, because you can get inspired and you can get guidance and you can get support if you want to publish either book chapters, books, or papers. For this, I take this opportunity once again to thank him. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Just a second. 1 and 1 is not 2. Please remember, 1 and 1 is 11. Please remember, in India, one of the main problems of India is I keep my work with me and he keeps. For example, a botanist, a microbiologist, a phytochemist, a tissue culturist, or if they come together, they can make wonders in it. Please remember, so group, as Anuradha said, there's a group. You utilize the knowledge of that particular group, expertise of that group, so that enhance better for yourself and for other person also. So, for example, if you contribute, you get the benefit. I also get benefit because my book is published. Your book chapter is published. So please remember, 1 and 1 is not 2. 1 and 1 is 11. Remember, being together. Right. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful message. We are truly inspired by your talk. And thank you for encouraging all young researchers to publish in top research journals. Here, I would like to mention a few questions which have been posted by the participants. One of my question is, shouldn't all the publications coming out of public funding be mandatory open for public?
Yeah, now the thing is like this. Let me tell you. Most of the publication, remember, for example, CSIR gives me funding for a micro propagation. For example, we have done some research work on particular thing. For example, red sanders. When you want to publish it, CSIR may give only for research work, but not for publication. Whereas UCC gives for funding for publication also. Unassigned grant is for publication. So open source, if you have funding, you can publish it. But it is not mandatory by the publication. You should publish. That is only they say. Whether it is closed access or open access is not a point. Because even if it is published closed access, you will get the particular, for example, journal abstract or title, authors, etc. are there. So point is, institutions also subscriptions are there. For example, if a particular Padma Shri Institute of Management can subscribe to the journals, and it is open access for closed institution. Remember, open to all the members who have access to that particular institution. So that's why they get it. So if, for example, many of the American institutions, universities, European universities, they have for example, Springer publishes a lot of journals. Remember, those journals are not accessible to me, but those journals are accessible to the researchers in that particular university, California Institute of Technology. The journals published by is subscribed by California Institute of Technology, and all the researchers in that California Institute of Technology is open. They can open and then see. For example, I publish a book. It is immediately there accessible in Stanford University. So point is, you will get that publishing. It is open access, provided you pay for it. Otherwise, it will be there. Abstract will be there. So that is what I am saying, right? Okay.
Okay, sir.
I hope I can.
To this, you can always request the author. His email will be provided.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Stating that I am a research scholar. I cannot afford buying that. If you can please send your thing. Now it has become so easy that PDF format they can send to your mail. Earlier we used to get many things by post.
Yeah, I myself.
But also I learned from him.
Hold on. All research papers at the bottom, they used to give email IDs. Please remember, I forgot to tell this point. When you come across a particular research paper, please note down, this title along with the email ID, institution affiliation, and email ID, and then send an email to him. Remember, publishers allow for private circulation, not open internet access. So private circulation is permitted. Even, for example, in Missouri Botanical Garden, I went there, and for private purpose, for my research purpose, I can Xerox it. But in America, Xerox is not permitted. So please remember, you go for this email IDs and request them, right? Okay. Go ahead. Next
So
question.
one more query is, can we apply for one paper be published in more than one publication?
No, please remember, when you publish one paper, you cannot publish the same thing in another. Even photographs, it comes what is called as plagiarism or copying, duplication. This is highly unethical. Remember, so yeah, this is, I forgot to tell you also, there is another major problem. One scientist from let me not name the university, he published taking the data from some other journals and then publishing it. This is highly unethical, and action has been taken. Data has been taken from some other source. Even top-notch scientists in India have copied and they publish it. And once it is recognized, remember, he will be asked to, increments were cut and his promotions were cut, and sometimes he was dismissed also from his service. Please remember, once you publish it, it goes to copyright, it goes to the journal, not you. Please remember this point. I told you two things. One is patent. Patent is in your name, but when you publish it, your copyright goes to the publisher. For example, Springer, plant cell tissue organ culture. When you want to send a manuscript to that, means that copyright is with the publisher, not you. For example, I have taken some photographs, from some of the, when I am publishing such books, I publish from a research paper. I ask a journal publisher, not the author. So copyright goes. So you can't publish one research in two journals. So when you are sending, publishers also insist, have you published this in another where, or are you sending to another paper? If you say no, then only they will consider, otherwise they will not consider. Please remember this. Yes, next one, please.
Sir, I think the queries, there are no more queries, but I would like to say I'm going through all the comments and queries. I can understand here that all the participants are highly motivated and inspired by you, and some would like to associate with you as well. So today you have inspired all of us, sir, and the take-home message for all the young research scholars out there is to publish, otherwise you will perish, and always grow together in a scientific community, help each other and progress in the scientific community.
And forgot, sorry to interrupt you. Remember, when you publish, for example, remember three things. One is, if I publish a research paper, I get recognition. Then my department gets recognition. My university gets recognition. Universities are rated based on your publication. Please remember, three things get published. One is individual gets recognition, department gets recognition, institution gets recognition. Your funding is also based on your recognition. For example, UGC gives grants for research based on your research publications only. They give grants to your department or institution, like Institution of Excellence, etc. All this based on publication. For example, Anuradha got grants not because of just I want to do, then give me money. Nobody will give money. When you show that you are capable of doing, remember, why do you publish? You are showing that you are capable of doing research. A research publication is to show, or it is a certificate that you can do research. Thereby you get recognition. Please remember this and publish it. Right? You are most welcome for anything for correction.
So there is one more query here. There is one more query here. The participant is asking, can I publish my research paper as a book chapter?
Yes. Some journals, some books, for example, I am right now, let me straight away example now itself. We are publishing a book on micropropagation of medicinal plants. Those who are working on micropropagation of medicinal plants, they are welcome to submit their book chapters. Generally, books don't publish research papers, but some books do publish research papers also. For example, we are publishing micropropagation of medicinal plants. We would like to publish both research papers and review chapters. So generally, book chapters are generally, they don't, if it is published by Springer, they will give a DOI number. If it is otherwise, they will not give a DOI number. Then if you don't have DOI number, recognition will not be there. So I suggest first preference is for journals. Research papers should be better. I don't say should, better to publish in journals than in books. But books also can be published. Suppose if a book, some journals say maximum 10 pages only. So your paper is coming to 25-30 paper. For example, Flora, cannot be published in a research. For example, I have done, flora of Andhra Pradesh. This flora of Andhra Pradesh, we have published. That cannot be published in a paper. So then you have to publish only in a book form only. There is no other alternative. So generally, research papers published in recognized journals are recognized than in books, right? Okay.
So another query is, sir, if one publication is rejected by a publisher, can I improve it and submit in another for other?
Yeah, very good. Let me show you here one book. This is a book by Global Biodiversity. First, I submitted this book proposal to Springer. After several reviews back and forth, they rejected. Remember, they rejected. They said, we'll not publish. Then I sent to Apple Academic Press, CRC Press. Last week, the publisher told, you are the person who got the highest royalty from our publisher, on any for any author. I got the highest royalty on this particular book. So there is no rule that suppose, for example, I just now told you, maybe you might have forgotten. I said, if I want to publish a research paper, first I sent to top-notch journal. They sent to 3 or 4 reviewers. They will give comments. Comments are useful for us. They may reject, don't worry. Better, it is, should not be rejected. Suppose if it is rejected, okay, you take all the comments given by those reviewers and send to another journal. There is no rule that, if it is rejected, it can't be published. It can be published, provided you have a good substance in your research paper. So rejected papers, don't worry, don't get disheartened. Just now I told you, I did not get. Based on this, for example, this global highly success. All the European libraries and American libraries purchased this book, and now the publisher says, you publish a big book. So now I am going this from 4-volume book. Now I am going for a 36-volume book on biodiversity of hotspots. Believe it or not, 36 biodiversity hotspots, 36 volume. Remember, this is success story. What I am trying to tell you is that don't worry about whether it is rejected or not. Well, opinion is different. Of course, you should try to publish, for example, Springer Journal, Elsevier Journal. So don't worry. Try to improve it and then try to publish it. Okay? Fine.
Thank you, sir. I think there are no more queries. So we have come to an end of today's first session. Once again, Pulaya sir, I thank you wholeheartedly on behalf of Padma Shri Institute of Management and Sciences for inspiring us, for giving us beautiful tips for publishing our research work in top-notch scientific journals. Once again, thank you very much for your enlightening and thought-provoking talk. Thank you once again, sir. So we have come to an end of today's session, and I thank all the participants for actively participating. And the second session will be at around 5:30 p.m. today. And the resource person for the second session will be Dr. Shivakumar, and he will be giving us insights about basic experimental designs. So we will end the session here. Once again, I thank everyone who participated in this session. Thank you. Have a fruitful day ahead. Thank you.
There is a feedback link which is being provided in the chat box. You please fill up the feedback link. It is very important for us. It is continuous dynamic improvement we need to do. Kindly fill up the feedback link and send it across. And as I have mentioned, the people who regularly attend, we are taking the attendance extract from this particular thing. You will be definitely be given with a certificate, and also the best participant certificate also at the end of this entire course. Thank you.
And if they can switch on their video, we can take a screenshot, ma'am.
Yeah. Sir, I request you to switch on video again. We want to take a gallery image, a picture image for the memory. Please switch on your videos. Sir, I request you. Pulaya sir, I request you. Switch on your video. Sir, I request you to switch on your video, sir. Are you there? Your mic is muted, sir. Okay, whoever we can take. Video, please. Videos, please. Yeah. Take Hindu. Sir, are you there, sir?
You can call him up so that he can appear on the.
Meanwhile, you can take with others. I will ask them to join us.
Ma'am, he said 2 minutes, he'll join.
Yeah. Anyway, you have to take as gallery wise only, no, Hindu. We can see only.
Yeah, Shubha is taking.
Shubha, you keep clicking the images, Shubha. You are muted, Shubha.
Ma'am, I've taken. I'm just waiting for sir. This others I have taken.
All. So many are there, no? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay, participants, hope you got information what you needed, and I request you to be in association with Professor Pulle sir or any one of the active researcher here. You can go ahead with your publications, and which is very important for your career. Even you are in first year MSc, don't think that long way to go. You have to start learning these things from the beginning so that all your experiments, whatever you do in your laboratory, can be converted into papers if you little plan. That kind of activity we request at Padma Shri and at your organizations, so that whatever chemicals, glassware, equipment you use to do your MSc experiments can be utilized to the proper way. Otherwise, you will be just doing another experiment, like repeating the experiment what it is being done in your undergraduation. Yeah, he's there, Shubha. Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Is it done? It is done, Shubha?
Yes, ma'am, it's done.
Yeah. Okay, then over to Nida. You can conclude and you can remind them once again about the evening session. And if you want to post the competition things, when you want to do it, organizers.
Yes, ma'am. We will be posting the rules by afternoon.
By afternoon or evening. There are 3 competitions I have mentioned. One is a video competition, other one is a pictorial poster competition, and other one is a debate. These things will be doing at the end of these things, and rules, regulations, and last date to submit, everything will be posted by afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, I'd like to thank our resource person, Pulle sir, and all the participants for actively participating in today's session. Thank you once again, and I remind you all about the second session that would be at 5:30 p.m. today, and the resource person will be Dr. Shiva Kumar, and he will be giving us insights about basic experimental design. Thank you once again. Have a great day ahead.
The link will be the same, so that there's
the link is the same. You can join the meeting at 5:30 using the same link. Thank you.
Okay. Hope all of you have given your feedback. I'm ending the session.